Sawadika, hello and welcome. You're watching ASEAN Challenge, the show to give you the latest headlines, highlights and updates happening around your ASEAN community in two languages, Thai and English. I'm Rosalyn Tepawan
and I'm Alisa สิทธิวงศ์ขอต้อนรับคุณผู้ชมทุกท่านเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ค่ะข่าวสารรอบอาเซียนทั้งภาษาอังกฤษและภาษาไทย and of course this week marks we can say kind of the beginning of a very global event and as we're dressed like this it's of course the World Cup 2018 held in Russia.
Exciting times going on not just in Russia but around the world for so many countries and so many things. So in ASEAN around us, we're going to tell you all about the biggest highlight that everybody around the world has been watching and keeping their eyes on.
That's right, and that's not the World Cup. What we're talking about actually is Donald Trump versus North Korea. Well, not versus actually, that's in terms of the World Cup more or less. But they had a grand summit we can consider as a historic event that occurred in Singapore on the 12th of June, so not too long ago.
Right, such an historic event such as this that passed this past week. It's, you could say, equivalent to say the fall of the Berlin Wall and how that affected the rest of Europe. Not just that, but Nixon's meeting with China back in 1972. So it's that historic, and that's the first meeting between the U.S. and North Korea in so many years, as you just mentioned. So a lot of expectations were really high, and sentiments were also high all around ASEAN++ as to the outcome of this historic meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. So we'll tell you all about that.
That's right. So as you might remember that the meeting actually almost didn't happen.
Right.
It was canceled earlier on, but however, of course, the meeting did happen in Singapore, where they consider Singapore being the middle country in between the United States and North Korea, of course. Now, one of the main highlights or the events that happened in terms of this grand summit was the signing of what they call a comprehensive document. So, of course, both leaders have met, and we can consider that this is the first time that a U.S. president that is currently in office has met with Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea.
Right.
And in terms of Kim Jong-un himself, this is considered one of the first few moments that he has left the country since taking office. So earlier we know that he crossed the borders over to South Korea, and earlier than that he went to China as well. So we can see that a lot of changes in terms of peace agreements and bilateral ties and various types of agreements between North Korea and different countries are happening at the moment.
Right. So far, though, we do know that although Kim Jong-un traveled abroad to various countries in Singapore, he actually didn't leave his hotel until later in the evening time. So you could see all around, security guards were very, very, well, you could say prevalent all around the summit. And so high security, lots of personnel from North Korea just standing ground and making sure everything is secure and safe, which is one of the prerequisites and requirements, of course, from North Korea. But altogether, the image and the atmosphere, and you could say the residue that we got from this meeting was quite friendly. It was a very friendly meeting between the U.S. and North Korea, and both leaders have come out very optimistic about the future developments and partnerships of both countries and beyond.
That's right. So talking about this comprehensive document that they signed, the aim of it, of course, is at the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, and in which this document here, Trump has said that he expects that the denuclearization process is going to start very, very quickly. So according to his words, of course, very, very quickly, should happen very soon. And in terms of what he mentioned about Kim, he said that Kim was very smart and a very worthy, very hard negotiator as well. And I quote from Donald Trump, he says that I learned he's a very talented man. I also learned that he loves his country very much.
So we can see that a lot of positivity generated from this meeting coming from Trump's side, expressing a lot of optimism about what's going to happen. In fact, he did mention that absolutely he's going to invite Kim Jong-un over to the White House sometime in the future for perhaps another friendly meeting as well.
That's right. So taking a look at Kim's side as well. So he has mentioned that the two leaders had a historic meeting and decided to leave the past behind. And the world will be seeing major changes. So of course, this is something that besides the World Cup, a lot of people have been keeping updated with.
Indeed. Good feels on both sides.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาสู่ช่วง ASEAN Around Us นะคะนอกเหนือจากบอลโลกแล้วอีกหนึ่งประเด็นที่หลายๆคนน่าจะจับตามองกันนะคะก็คือการประชุมระดับประวัติศาสตร์ เลยทีเดียวระหว่างสหรัฐอเมริกากับเกาหลีเหนือนะคะอย่างที่เราเห็นกันในขณะนี้นะคะนี่ก็คือคิมจองอุนนะคะผู้นำสูงสุดของเกาหลีเหนือกับโดนัลด์ทรัมป์ประธานาธิบดีของสหรัฐอเมริกานั่นเองนะคะซึ่งทั้งคู่เนี่ยค่ะก็ได้ลงนามร่วมกันในการเซ็นสิ่งที่เขาเรียกว่าข้อตกลงความเข้าใจกันนะคะซึ่งการตกลงในครั้งนี้ค่ะก็ต้องการที่จะปลดนิวเคลียร์แล้วก็มีสันติภาพอย่างยั่งยืนนะคะระหว่างสหรัฐกับจริงๆแล้วทั่วโลกเลยทีเดียว
ใช่แล้วค่ะการเซ็นครั้งนี้นะคะก็เป็นจุดเริ่มต้นของการร่วมมือระหว่าง2ประเทศสหรัฐอเมริกากับเกาหลีเหนือที่เราจะจับตามองกันต่อไปนะคะว่าจะมีการจับมือร่วมงานกันอะไรอีกบ้างไม่ว่าจะทางด้านเศรษฐกิจความมั่นคงแล้วก็อื่นๆนะคะเราก็จะคอยจับตาดูก็มีการพูดคุยกันนะคะว่าในอนาคตอาจจะมีการสร้างโรงแรมใหญ่ที่สุดในโลกในเกาหลีเหนือด้วยเช่นกันแล้วก็จะคอยดูนะคะว่าจะมีการลงทุนอะไรอีกบ้างในประเทศ
That's right. So we can see that it's a very friendly atmosphere between both of them, of course, and in which when the two leaders met with each other, as we can see, there's a whole background of flags, North Korea and the United States. They shook hands, and as we can see, with a background of flags and whatnot, and afterwards they went into a meeting room in order to discuss and negotiate with each other, just privately, the both of them, and with their personal translators.
Right, and one of the first comments made by Kim to Trump was he said, "Nice to meet you, Mr. President." So beaming at the same time in the presence of between both country leaderships. And so it was quite a friendly match, a friendly meeting actually as well. So at this historic event, one of the most important topics of discussion we mentioned is denuclearization of North Korea, to which Kim had readily agreed to in exchange for security, economic development, and much, much more. So various ways to actually end that nuclear standoff that's been ongoing for so many years has finally come to a close, and we could expect positive things perhaps in the near future in this kind of initial atmosphere of friendship as discussed.
That's right. So we can see that this initial meeting here, or the meeting that happened here, could lead to long-term and lasting changes in terms of security landscape of Northeast Asia, in a similar way to how the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 changed Europe as well.
Right.
So this is something that we definitely will be writing out in our history books.
Indeed. Well, by the way, this hotel itself, perhaps symbolic of the meeting, both leaders arrived at this colonial-era Capella Hotel on Sentosa Island from their other hotels around the island. So perhaps the hotel itself also signifies this kind of development and really just kind of leaving history and the past behind them and looking toward the future for more positive developments.
ใช่แล้วค่ะอย่างที่เราเห็นนะคะบรรยากาศก็จะเป็นมิตรกันนะคะทั้งสองผู้นำนะคะก็ได้จับมือกันนะคะแล้วก็ถ่ายรูปด้านหลังก็จะเป็นฉากธงของทั้งสองประเทศเลยนะคะหลังจากนั้นเนี่ยค่ะก็ได้มีการพูดคุยกันประชุมกันตัวต่อตัวโดยต่างฝ่ายก็มีเพียงแค่ล่ามติดตามมาด้วย1คนเท่านั้นนะคะอย่างที่เราเห็นตอนนี้เขาก็จับมือกันนะคะด้านหลังก็จะเป็นธงชาติของเกาหลีเหนือกับสหรัฐนะคะก็ถือว่าเป็นการประชุมครั้งประวัติศาสตร์เลยทีเดียวนะคะแล้วก็เขาก็เลือกสิงคโปร์เนี่ยเป็นประเทศที่จะประชุมกันเพราะว่าถือว่าเป็นประเทศที่มีความเป็นกลาง
ใช่ค่ะเขาก็ประชุมที่โรงแรมคาเพลล่านะคะที่เกาะเซนโตซาซึ่งก็เป็นโรงแรมที่ค่อนข้างจะมีอายุเก่าแก่แล้วก็มีความสำคัญทางด้านประวัติศาสตร์เช่นกันก็จะเป็นความสัมพันธ์ที่จะพัฒนาในทางที่ดีในอนาคตด้วยค่ะ so we'll keep you posted on any more of those developments between the U.S. and North Korea as it happens.
That's right. So taking the meeting aside a little bit, looking at some of the activities that occurred during the summit itself, as you mentioned earlier that Kim Jong-un did not leave his hotel after he had met with, or after he arrived on Monday, June 11th, and then he met with the Singapore leader as well. Right. After that, he stayed in his hotel, but however the next day he did take the opportunity and left his hotel with smiling faces, taking a look at some of the highlights and tourist attractions around Singapore. Right. This includes the Marina Bay Sand hotels and as well as other gardens and historic locations within the island of Singapore itself.
Right. When abroad, you got to go sightseeing, right? And so you mentioned everybody who goes to Singapore has to go and visit these iconic futuristic parks with tree-shaped installations. It's very kind of, it's very futuristic. It's called the Gardens by the Bay. And of course, that's also where Kim Jong-un went, to a very surprised group of visitors who also tried to take photos and take video shots of his presence. And he just was quite friendly, waving at various people over at the Gardens by the Bay before heading to the boat-shaped, you could say, entertainment one-stop area, recreational one-stop at the Marine Bay Sands, where of course you have to go up to the infinity pool on the top, which is shaped like a boat. And so there you go, Kim Jong-un visiting the most iconic, you could say, landmarks of Singapore, waving to various people who are filming him on their mobile phone.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people who had the opportunity to see him were probably very surprised. I mean, if I were there, I'd probably be taking photos as well. So as we can see here, this is another side, a friendly side that we were, I mean, whoever was around there was lucky enough to get to see that.
Right.
ก็มาอีกหนึ่งส่วนนะคะก็นอกเหนือจากการประชุมแล้วนะคะในด้านของการท่องเที่ยวบ้างนะคะก็คือนายคิมจองอึนเนี่ยผู้นำสูงสุดของเกาหลีเหนือก็เดินทางมาถึงสิงคโปร์เมื่อวันจันทร์ที่ขออภัยค่ะวันอาทิตย์ที่10มิถุนายนแต่ว่าคือหลังจากที่เข้าพักที่โรงแรมเสร็จปุ๊บนายคิมจองอึนเนี่ยไม่ได้ออกจากโรงแรมเลยแต่ว่าวันรุ่งขึ้นก็ได้มีโอกาสนะคะก็ได้ออกไปท่องเที่ยวไปดูสถานที่ท่องเที่ยวสำคัญของสิงคโปร์นั่นเองนะคะก็ถือว่าเป็นโอกาสที่ดีไปเที่ยวประเทศไหนเราก็อาจจะต้องควรไปดูนะคะโดยเฉพาะถ้าไปสิงคโปร์ก็จะมีสถานที่ท่องเที่ยวต่างๆที่น่าไปดูกันนะคะจุดแรกที่นายคิมจองอึนได้ไปนะคะก็จะเป็นสวนริมน้ำ Garden by the Bay นั่นเองนะคะแล้วก็ Lion Park นะคะก็เป็นสถานที่ก็ถือว่าใครที่อยู่ในบริเวณนั้นณตอนนั้นก็ถือว่าตื่นเต้นกันมากมายก็จะมีการถ่ายรูปกันนะคะถ่ายวิดีโอจากมือถือกันเต็มไปหมดเลย
ใช่ค่ะก็จะได้ความตื่นเต้นกันนะคะหลายๆคนที่ร่วมงานกันที่สิงคโปร์ก็ได้เจอคิมจองอึนในหลายๆจุดที่เป็นจุดแลนด์มาร์คของสิงคโปร์นั่นเองซึ่งก็เป็น historical sightseeing as well. So that said, we have more developments as well coming from other countries. So let's head out of Singapore and head over to Japan, where other leaders have also met and successfully discussed various issues leading up to the Singapore summit. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, as well as Prime Minister of Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad, both met up earlier as well to discuss the meeting and the historic summit in Singapore happening between the US and North Korea. Now, both leaders had been quite optimistic about developments there. They said, actually, if both leaders were to meet and discuss those issues at hand, such as denuclearization, economic development and incentives, and security guarantees, actually, North Korea's future would be bright. This is according to Abe, and it would be on the right path. And Mahathir himself, who's also visiting Tokyo here during his first official visit as Prime Minister of Malaysia, he came out to add that both parties should be ready to compromise, and that is exactly what happened. And that's going to be the lead up to much more compromising and collaboration in the future.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนของคอมเมนต์หรือว่าความรู้สึกของผู้นำประเทศอื่นกันบ้างนะคะทางด้านญี่ปุ่นกับมาเลเซียนั่นเองค่ะทางนายกรัฐมนตรีของญี่ปุ่นนะคะชินโซอาเบะแล้วก็นายกรัฐมนตรีมหาเทียโมฮัมหมัดของมาเลเซียนะคะทั้งสองก็ได้ร่วมยินดีกับผลสำเร็จของการประชุมสุดยอดในสิงคโปร์ระหว่างเกาหลีเหนือและประธานาธิบดีสหรัฐนะคะโดยอาเบะได้กล่าวว่าอนาคตของเกาหลีเหนือเนี่ยค่ะจะสดใสขึ้นหากเลือกเส้นทางที่ถูกต้องนั่นเองค่ะ
That's right. Meanwhile, back in Singapore real quick, a lot of you could say Singaporeans were also very excited about this historic summit. And so you could expect that Singapore is actually shelling out a lot in hopes of positive developments and historic landmark agreements happening between various countries at the summit. And so altogether, Singapore actually shelled out around $15 million that pretty much just covered the cost of this meeting that happened over the week, and not just for the various entourages of the leaders between various countries themselves, but also for journalists. More than 3,000 journalists had joined in this summit to cover this historic landmark meeting. So altogether, you could see all around Singapore just a lot of optimism all around among Singaporeans, among ASEAN people, and beyond.
That's right. So speaking of excitement between, or amongst the Singaporeans, of course, last week on our program we mentioned about bars creating cocktails that were in order to prepare for this summit, and there was the Trump cocktail and the Kim cocktail. So we can see that this is a great opportunity for Singaporeans as well, and the world is going to get to know Singapore a lot more from the summit. Long-term, lasting effects that are in, of course, positive ways will be happening, and we can say that, for them, they see that it could bring lasting changes, just as similar to when U.S. President Richard Nixon visited Beijing in 1972, which led to the transformation of China. So they can say that this might be the starting point of a transformation in Singapore as well.
Indeed. Singapore, North Korea, the U.S. and beyond. So we'll keep our eyes peeled to see what new changes will come about after the start of this historic meeting, and much more to come.
ใช่แล้วค่ะในด้านของความรู้สึกของคนสิงคโปร์นะคะแน่นอนอยู่แล้วมีการประชุมที่สุดยอดขนาดนี้เกิดขึ้นในประเทศของเขาก็ต้องตื่นเต้นอย่างแน่นอนในสัปดาห์ที่แล้วเราได้แนะนำไปว่าขนาดบาร์ต่างๆเนี่ยยังมีค็อกเทลที่มีชื่อว่าทรัมป์กับคิมเกิดขึ้นนะคะคนอื่นๆในประเทศก็ถือว่านี่เป็นการประชุมครั้งประวัติศาสตร์แล้วก็น่าจะมีการเปลี่ยนแปลงของประเทศในทางที่ดีขึ้นอย่างแน่นอนคล้ายๆกับตอนที่ประธานาธิบดีริชาร์ดนิกสันของสหรัฐอเมริกาได้ไปที่ประเทศจีนหลังจากนั้นเนี่ยประเทศจีนเนี่ยก็ได้พัฒนามากขึ้นชาวสิงคโปร์ก็คิดว่านี่น่าจะเป็นสิ่งที่จะเกิดขึ้นกับประเทศของเขาเช่นเดียวกันค่ะ
ใช่ค่ะก็เป็นการประชุมแบบประวัติศาสตร์เลยนะคะซึ่งหลายคนก็ลงทุนมากขึ้นอย่างเช่นสิงคโปร์ก็ลงทุนประมาณ15 ล้าน US ดอลลาร์นะคะในการประชุมครั้งนี้เพราะฉะนั้นเราก็คงจะเห็นการลงทุนจากหน่วยงานอื่นๆไม่ว่าจะเป็นบาร์หรือว่าสถานที่ต่างๆ so we'll keep you posted on more that Singapore has to offer after the summit and beyond but meanwhile let's take a short break. When we come back, more news coming up and headlines coming up in ASEAN hot issues. Stay with us.
พักกันสักครู่ค่ะ
Program into ASEAN Challenge now. We head over to ASEAN Hot Issues to talk about the highlights and headlines over the past week and beyond. Altogether, though, let's start off with what's going on with the U.S. and various countries like Indonesia, for example. We earlier talked about the U.S. and North Korea summit. Let's head over to some other leadership meetings happening around the country with the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo welcoming his Indonesian counterpart, Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi, to Washington Tuesday to discuss various important issues happening between both countries and also various bilateral relations to strengthen after the meeting. Indonesia itself is known to be one of the most populous Muslim majority countries in the world and Southeast Asia's biggest economy so far. Now, it was one of the 16 countries under review earlier by the Trump administration last year for having a trade surplus with the United States. So this meeting itself is very much a pivotal meeting for Indonesia in terms of trying to strengthen and pick up its economic balance and also its economic expansion with the U.S. Now, earlier, thousands of Indonesian Muslims had protested at a national monument outside of the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta against Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. So this meeting is actually very significant and will move and work to pacify those sentiments.
ใช่แล้วค่ะอย่างที่เราเห็นกันนะคะก็จะมีความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างหลายๆประเทศนะคะกับสหรัฐนะคะเมื่อสักครู่นี้เราได้พูดถึงความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างสหรัฐกับเกาหลีเหนือนะคะคราวนี้มาดูในส่วนของความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างอินโดนีเซียกับสหรัฐกันบ้างค่ะในไมค์พอมเพโอนะคะรัฐมนตรีต่างประเทศสหรัฐนะคะก็ได้ต้อนรับรัฐมนตรีว่าการกระทรวงการต่างประเทศเรดโนมาร์ซูดีจากอินโดนีเซียนะคะในโอกาสเดินทางไปที่วอชิงตันเมื่อวันอังคารที่5มิถุนายนที่ผ่านมานั่นเองค่ะทางอินโดนีเซียนะคะก็ถือว่าเป็นประเทศที่มีประชากรมุสลิมที่มากที่สุดในโลกแล้วก็เป็นอีกประเทศหนึ่งที่ใหญ่ที่สุดในเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้และนอกเหนือจากนี้นะคะก็เป็น1ใน16ประเทศที่ได้รับการตรวจสอบจากฝ่ายบริหารของทรัมป์นั่นเองเมื่อปีที่แล้วเนื่องจากมีการค้าเกินดุลกับสหรัฐค่ะ
That's right, and very soon perhaps we'll be seeing Kim Jong-un visiting the White House as well. We'll keep you posted on those developments and much, much more. Meanwhile, a lot of meetings between country leaders and representatives have kicked off all around the world. It's not just Indonesia and at the White House, but much, much more. The U.S. Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, also met with Southeast Asian defense officials in Singapore earlier on Friday to discuss various important security issues in the Shangri-La dialogue that happened. Now, earlier at the meeting, Vietnam's defense minister also met, where both of them had come out to reaffirm the United States' commitment to Southeast Asia's security issues, and a lot of that focuses on what's going on in the South China Sea. So he also went to visit Singapore, and well, of course, he was there where both the U.S. and North Korean leaders were launching various discussions related to denuclearization, and this, in a way, you could say, mollified a lot of the tensions that were brewing over the South China Sea issue. And so it seems that a lot of these issues, while still tied, a lot of leaders are actually trying to work harder to pacify and mollify the situation.
That's right. So it is an ongoing issue with the South China Sea, as Vietnam, as well as Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Taiwan also have conflicting claims in the area, through which about $3 trillion worth of seaborne goods passes every year. We've seen several meetings go or happen in trying to resolve the conflicts in the South China Sea. However, it's going to be taking, we can say that it's probably going to take a while more before these conflicts get resolved. So we'll keep you posted, of course, in terms of what developments happen.
Right, indeed. And we'll also keep you posted as well how the U.S. and North Korean summit and agreements, how they impact the North Korean relations with China as well.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันอีกหนึ่งประชุมที่เกิดขึ้นที่สิงคโปร์นะคะนอกเหนือจากการประชุมระหว่างสหรัฐอเมริกาโดนัลด์ทรัมป์กับคิมจองอึนของเกาหลีเหนือนะคะนอกเหนือจากนี้นะคะก็มีการประชุมระหว่างเลขาธิการกระทรวงกลาโหมสหรัฐเจมส์แมตติสนะคะก็ได้พบกับเจ้าหน้าที่ฝ่ายการป้องกันประเทศในเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้ในสิงคโปร์เมื่อวันที่1มิถุนายนนั่นเองนะคะโดยที่ยืนยันถึงความมุ่งมั่นของสหรัฐในการรักษาความมั่นคงในภูมิภาคเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้ค่ะ
That's right. Meanwhile, in other developments here, heading over to Indonesia and China now, it seems like 105 Chinese suspects engaging in various telecom frauds had been escorted back to China from Indonesia. So still in Indonesia, we talk about various developments in terms of telecom frauds that have become prevalent over Southeast Asia, ASEAN, and beyond. Now, the criminal gang had mainly targeted China's mainland citizens abroad, and they committed fraud, conducting more than 200 cases with a value of over 100 million baht. That's around 30 million US dollars here, or 20 million yuan. And this case itself had been ongoing, where the suspects were involved in huge fraud cases of telecom jointly uncovered by police of China and Indonesia over the recent years. So one of the biggest arrests so far, and repatriating of the citizens as well. The members of the gang altogether were from over 10 provinces all around China, and they pretended to be personnel of China's public security organizations, trying to inveigle various funds from telecom users as well. Now, police of China and Indonesia took joint action to arrest all members of the gang in 3 different places around Indonesia. So this is one of the biggest arrests, monumental, happening in Indonesia, joint collaboration between Indonesia and China.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนข่าวที่3ของอาเซียนฮอตอิชชูนะคะก็เป็นประเด็นที่เกิดขึ้นซึ่งทางตำรวจจีนแล้วก็อินโดนีเซียนะคะก็ได้ดำเนินการร่วมกันนะคะแล้วก็จะจับกลุ่มสมาชิกแก๊งช่อโกงทั้งหมดโดยผู้ต้องสงสัยชาวจีนมีทั้งหมด105คนนะคะก็มีความเกี่ยวข้องกับทุจริตด้านโทรคมนาคมนั่นเองในต่างประเทศค่ะก็ถูกพากลับไปที่ประเทศจีนโดยผู้ต้องสงสัยกลุ่มนี้นะคะถูกคดีช่อโกงด้านโทรคมนาคมที่ใหญ่ที่สุดของประเทศจีนและอินโดนีเซียในช่วงหลายปีที่ผ่านมานั่นเองค่ะในด้านของแก๊งอาชญากรรมส่วนใหญ่นะคะก็มุ่งเป้าไปที่ประชาชนชาวจีนแผ่นดินใหญ่แล้วก็มีการฉ้อโกงที่มากกว่า200กรณีที่มีมูลค่ารวมกว่าขออภัยค่ะ20 ล้านหยวนนั่นเอง
And so while ASEAN plus friends like China crack down on various fraud gangs and various networks and transnational crimes around ASEAN. We'll keep you posted on those developments as they unravel. But meanwhile, those are the headlines and highlights for our ASEAN hot issue. It's time for a short break now. When we come back, more details ahead in ASEAN calendar. Stay tuned.
พักกันสักครู่ค่ะ
Welcome back to the program into ASEAN calendar. Now we have lots of highlights ahead in ASEAN and beyond.
ใช่แล้วค่ะกลับเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ในช่วงนี้ ASEAN Calendar ไปติดตามกันค่ะ The 15th of June 2018, Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Hari Raya Aidilfitri is a holiday which is celebrated in Malaysia and particularly Singapore and celebrates the end of Ramadan. During the month of Ramadan, fasting is done between dawn and dusk, and on this day, Muslims all over Malaysia can end their fast and enjoy fellowship with one another, seek forgiveness of each other, and enjoy a feast that is resplendent with food. This holiday falls on the first day of the 10th month in the Islamic calendar. History of Hari Raya Aidilfitri. The origin of this holiday can be traced all the way back to the Islamic prophet Muhammad. He began this festival after he migrated to Mecca. In Singapore and other parts of Malaysia, the Muslim religion was firmly established by the 15th century. Hari Raya Aidilfitri has been celebrated since that time. Usually this holiday falls on a day which is separate from other holidays, but that wasn't the case in 1996, 1997, and 1998. This is when the holiday fell during the same week as Chinese New Year. This resulted in two large celebrations all across Malaysia during those years, one for the Chinese community and one for the Muslim community. As a result, the Malaysian portmanteau, Kongsi Raya, was developed. For convenience, many Malaysians celebrate Kongsi Raya when it occurs instead of celebrating two distinct holidays at the same time. Hari Raya Aidilfitri Customs and Traditions. Hari Raya Aidilfitri is one of the most important holidays to be celebrated by Muslims in Malaysia. It is a time when many people, both Muslims and non-Muslims, drive or fly home so they can spend the next couple of days with their families. It is often a time when friends and family seek forgiveness from each other for their transgressions. During this time, many Muslims will visit ancestors' graves, say prayers at the mosque, and spend time with family. It is often common to give food to the poor on this day. There are not only many festivals during this holiday, but there is also a feast that every family enjoys as a celebration for the end of fasting. Some of the foods that can be found at this feast include beef rendang, sambal, white rice, among others. During the holidays, Malaysians used to decorate their homes with small lamps that were kerosene-powered. These lamps were called lampu koloks, and they were prevalent all over Malaysia at one time. However, in recent times, more and more people are putting these aside and instead are using decorative electric lights.
June 18th, King's Mother's Birthday. The King Mother's Birthday in Cambodia is the celebration of the birth of Norodom Monieth Sihanouk, which occurred on June 18, 1936. As her given name at birth was Pale Monique Easy, she's sometimes referred to as Queen Monique. The occasion is an official public holiday known as King's Mother's Birthday because she's the mother of Cambodia's king. In 1936, in Saigon, Queen Monique was born to Jean-François Easy, a French banker from Corsica who died during World War II, and Pomepo, her mother, who was born in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. She met Norodom Sihanouk, then king of Cambodia, in 1951 when she won a beauty pageant. In 1952, she was secretly married to the king, and in 1955, she married him again, but publicly. Thus she became Queen of Cambodia. But But her husband had to abdicate the throne in 1955, though he later became head of state as premier in 1960. During the 1960s, Queen Monique was the object of much criticism from all sides. She was accused of introducing a state-run casino and of straining relations between the king and his mother. It was also said that she'd been involved in promoting personal friends to high-paying positions. Both the brutal leaders of the Khmer Rouge and the leaders of the Khmer Republic took shots at her for a time. In her favor, however, she did serve as head of the Cambodian Red Cross from 1967 to 1970 and is still the honorary president of that organization. Today, she's very popular despite her temporary unpopularity of the past. Queen Monique and her husband went into exile in 1970 when revolution broke out in Cambodia. Her husband, King Norodom Sihanouk, finally aligned with the Khmer Rouge in 1973 as part of a strategy to defeat Lon Nol, the leader of the revolt that overthrew him in 1970. The Rouge finally took Phnom Penh in 1975, and the Queen and the King returned to Cambodia. But despite being nominally made head of state, they were put under house arrest, subjected to re-education, and had to watch helplessly as 18 of their family members were executed. Only pressure from China and North Korea kept Pol Pot and Khmer Rouge from executing the royal couple themselves. Finally, they were allowed to flee to China in 1979. In 1991, after 12 years in exile, they returned to Cambodia. When her husband passed away, her son became the new king. The king's mother's birthday is a low-key holiday in Cambodia. The main observances are held by government representatives at dinner parties, where they make cordial toasts to the queen's continued good health. But many Cambodians do get the day off work, and there are a few traditions associated with the holiday.
And those were the events to mark your calendars with. With that said, we'll take a short break and we'll be back soon.
Sakruka.
Living and studying in Thailand has been a life-changing experience. It has opened me up to so many new ideas and possibilities. I have met so many friendly people and experienced an amazing culture. I've had the opportunity to explore my creative passions. I've had the chance to get involved with so many new activities. RSU has all the facilities you can imagine to pursue your dreams. Rangsit University has given me the opportunity to live in Thailand and broaden my horizons. One world, endless opportunities.
Welcome back to ASEAN Challenge, and into ASEAN Interview now. We talk about a new development and trends all around ASEAN plus friends and beyond. We have a new trend of students studying abroad more and more, visiting and participating in various international programs. Joining us today are three special guests from various international programs at RSU to tell us and give us their insights about their experiences in Thailand and beyond. So, welcome. Thanks for joining us this week.
Very much.
Well, first of all, can you tell us a bit more about yourself, where you're from?
My name is Zhang Ao. I come from China. I study in Malaysia 3 years now.
Okay, next.
All right.
My name is Victor Siharath. I was born and raised in Australia. I am now a third-year student here at Rangsit University International College, and I major in Communication Arts.
All right.
Hi, my name is Kiskon Thongbil. I'm 4th year right now. I study in Rangsit University.
All right.
Welcome.
Welcome to all three of you. Now let's start off with some questions for the two of you who are not from Thailand. How do you find living in Thailand? Do you enjoy it? What's something that's very different from your home country?
I think in Thailand, university is different with Chinese university because sometimes in Chinese you know more free time, more free place to do anything if you want to do. But for Thai, in Rang City University, I have enough time to do what I want to do. I think it's better.
Okay, why did you decide to come here?
After I finished my high school education in China, I think it's so busy because I have to study every day all time. So I think for my university, I think I want to find someone is have more free time.
Alright, good. Okay, and for
nice.
yourself?
For me, I guess the experience so far has been really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. It's been a cultural change and a bit of a cultural shock when I first arrived. It was hard for me to adapt sort of from the Western culture coming into a more Asian culture, which is, though my background is Thai, Laos and Chinese, I was always born and raised in Australia. So it was hard for me to sort of come in and adapt. But what has been the highlight was that I sort of was able to overcome all that and sort of make friends, make these connections. My ideologies and my perceptions of things have changed through my experience here at RSU. So yeah, definitely.
It's like coming back and kind of reacquainting with your roots as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was something which was quite bizarre because I found that I had these mannerisms or I had these gestures or these thoughts that I didn't really tap into when I was in Australia. But then being around Thai people all the time, and of course they're the most friendly people. Like you always hear that back at home. You're like, okay, Thai people with the land of smiles and everything like that. You didn't really believe it until you actually live here and you're like, wow, actually everyone is actually really lovely. So yeah, it was really nice for me to sort of come back, revisit my roots and sort of just see another side of myself which I didn't get the opportunity to whilst in Australia.
So a lot of different mirrors and
Yeah.
a lot of cultural comparisons and
A lot, yeah.
going on. What about for you, Kunal? How do you compare your experience in school in China and in Thailand?
Experience, I think the first important experience in university is to control yourself. Yes, because in Thai university we have a lot of free time. We have freedom, so maybe you will lose yourself in the so comfortable life. For this time, you have to control yourself. What you should to do, what is important for your life, for your future. Yeah.
Right, so you have more time to experiment with your values and find yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely. And in terms of our Thai student here, you know, versus Thai university, why did you decide to choose an international program?
Normally, I want to be able to speak English because before I study in here, I never think about in English before. So I try to encourage myself to study in English because it's important for me in the future. So I want to continue my business, right?
Can you tell us what you're studying here and why you choose to study that?
Actually, I want to develop my English skill to be better than the past. When I was in high school, I'm very bad in English, right?
Why did you choose Rangsit University specifically?
Sorry. Because I like the environment in Rangsit University. People my friends are very kind and people here are very kind too.
And both of you, why did you choose RSU Rangsit University?
I guess it was one of those things where you really have to be in the place to sort of know where you belong. I went to look at a few universities when I first moved here about 2 years ago. And going to those universities, I didn't really feel like I belonged there. It was really strange. I literally came to Rangsit and I sat down for about an hour and a half watching people like interact, walk by. It's kind of stalkerish in a way, but it really made me see like there is a sort of a fraternity, there is a bond, and there is a like sort of connection and a family base. And it sounds cliche, but it really is a big family, and especially in the international college where you meet people from all walks of life, all realms, all different countries. You really can come together and sort of experience it all together and share your knowledge. It's an exciting experience, and I think that was the biggest thing that made me think, okay, Rungsit University is the place for me.
That sense of solidarity.
Yes, definitely.
And Chang'ao, how about you?
Before I came to study in Thailand in RSU, I have one friend studying here who told me in here is so professional university. So I think, oh, it's better choice for me. I can come here to test it. And when I come to here, I study in communication arts. I know, oh, it's very professional, international, and I can learn more professional knowledge in here and to learn some knowledge I am interested. Yeah.
Very good.
So far, a good choice for all three of you? Definitely a good choice. Can you share some experiences, something that you've learned from being here at Rungsit University?
I think the biggest thing is to embrace differences and sort of learn to interact. See, language has always been a barrier for many people, and especially coming to the international college, you meet people who can't speak English or can't speak Thai, and there is this sort of divide at times when you first arrive. For me, for example, I barely spoke any Thai before I came here, and through experiencing these past 2 years have been a life-changing moment for me where I literally speak Thai every day now, and I feel like my Thai is increasing and getting better as it goes on. And also with the international kids who are foreign exchange, you get to meet people from France, from Germany, from Switzerland, from all these beautiful countries where you never think you would, and you learn. You know, you can speak French for a day, you can speak Spanish for a day, and the international program now has a language exchange program within itself where students can, for example, Japan can come speak to a person from France, and they exchange languages. They teach them how to say hello, they teach them how to say, may I eat this, how do I do all these things. And I think this is what the future holds for ASEAN, and also for everything that is about to happen is becoming more internationalized. And I think this is why the international college is a driving force to making these connections that will last a lifetime, for sure.
Bridging language barriers, bridging cultural gaps as well.
Definitely.
What about you? Can you tell us about your valuable experiences that you got from here?
Especially, I have a lot of good time here, because in international college there's a lot of activity to participate to each other. I have talked to my friends in English. Before I came here, I cannot speak English at all, but right now I came into here, I be able to speak English.
I think that might be a problem with a lot of Thai students. They might feel that language might be a barrier or an obstacle for them. Is there anything you want to say? Is it actually an obstacle to make people not be able to learn an international program, or is that not a problem?
How did you overcome the obstacle of the fear of speaking English?
In my opinion, I think at first I encourage myself to be like in English first, and then when you feel you like English, you have an idea in English, and you try to learn in English. Yeah. And then I admire someone. Yeah, I have seen on YouTube. I think you guys know Pilukop. Yeah, he's a very famous on YouTube. So yeah, I want to be able to speak English as him. Yeah.
Did you get a lot of encouragement from the people around you as well?
Right.
Very good.
In terms of Chang'an, what would you say is an obstacle that you had to overcome in coming to Thailand and being in an international program?
In my first year studying in Thailand, I meet the biggest problem is language. I can't speak well. Before I come to study in Thailand, my English is very poor. So maybe sometimes even I go have lunch, have dinner outside, I can't order my food. It's so bad, I know. So I think it's so bad. I have to overcome this problem. I try to speak with other one and try to learn more English skills. So now I can order my food.
Very good. What tools did you use to help you feel more confident in your English skills?
I think try to study. Try is so important. You have to try to do something. You can do it if you want to improve. So for me, I know I speak is so bad, but I try to speak. Maybe it's more. I try to speak more.
So just listening to everybody's experience, it seems like not just the programs themselves, but various workshops and just the environment and the atmosphere and colleagues have all helped to boost confidence, not just in crossing the barrier gaps of language, but also culture to help everybody kind of acclimatize and you could say just get to know everybody and feel more comfortable.
That's right. But as we can see that, as ASEAN is coming together, we can see that, and a lot of people are starting to look for different locations to gain new experience, whether it's learning, to learn new languages, more in terms of jobs and education. There are a lot more people who are coming to Thailand as well, and there are a lot of international programs, especially RSU is a very popular one. Is there anything you would like to give as an advice to people who are looking to come to an international program or come to Thailand for experience?
Right.
For suggest for new students, I think I have to say don't be shy. As I said, try is important, but if you want to try, you have to don't be shy. If you're shy, I don't want to talk with this man. I know I refuse. So don't be shy is important, I think.
All right, and advice?
Advice would be, I guess, just do it. It's one of those things where you just have to indulge and just dive straight into it, and don't be scared to dive into something that is unknown. You're scared of it, but ultimately there will be people guiding you. There's always people around you who are going to help you out, and embrace your individuality, embrace your creativity, and my biggest advice is just be yourself. I think be yourself, be true to who you are, and just be in it to learn and for you to develop as a person, not only through your language, but as a human being as well.
Right. And for Thang, of course, advice, but in terms of two things I want you to give an advice for people who want to come to Thailand and as well as Thai people who want to study in an international program.
As you know, I'm a Thai student, so what I want you to know that don't be scared to learn in English. So I always make a mistake before I learn English. So you have to enjoy studying English.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Thang, Victor, and Al, for all your insights, especially valuable advice for students hoping to join in various international programs abroad and at RSU. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And that wraps up ASEAN interview for this week. Thanks for joining us.
And that, of course, wraps up our program as well for this week. We'll see you next week. As for now,
สวัสดีค่ะ